pleasure it is to announce the 6th class of the Ed and Diane Donaldson Distinguished Alumni Induction Ceremony. I'm Carl Heidrich. I'm the interim superintendent at the Brandon School District. When I visited the school district nearly a year ago, inside this lobby was the first area shown to me. I asked this question to myself: why is the honorary wall such of great importance? And the answer was clear. Because it's about the culture and the community you live in. It is about the historical and goodwill perspective of the community. And it is the drive and motivation for success of our Brandon School District graduates. The pandemic has taught us our young people need role models more than ever. And our students need opportunities to aspire and reach new levels and heights. Through the context of this program, we can cherish the successes of others to inspire the next generation. And that is something we should have great pride in. We're extremely grateful to the Donaldson family for their support and contributions throughout the past years to initiate and continue this outstanding program and event. Unfortunately, Diane and most family members could not make it to this year's event. However, we do have one family member here this evening. I would like to recognize Steve Felker and appreciate and thank you for attending. Although the Donaldson family could not attend this event, I would like to read a statement from the family. On behalf of the entire family, we want to thank you for allowing our contribution to the Brandon School District to be recognized in such a meaningful way. We especially want to thank Superintendent Matt Outlaw for spearheading the Wall of Fame idea originally, Superintendent Carl Heidrich for continuing it, and Maria Schubring for executing the many, many details this award involves. Our family would also like to acknowledge the selection committee. You have the daunting task of choosing the best of the best each year for this award. We're grateful for you and for your commitment to keeping this program going. We hope the Ed and Diane Donaldson Wall of Fame lives on and expands each year to future generations of Brandon students. Congratulations to this year's class for the contributions to society you made throughout your lives. You're a true representation of all that's good and positive about Ortonville and the Brandon School District. You make our family proud to be Brandon Blackhawks. Before we begin the induction of new honorees, I would like to introduce and recognize many individuals. First, I'd like to acknowledge our Board of Education. We have Board President Lisa Calvahona, Vice President Diane Salter, Board Trustee Hillary Stokowski, and finally, Board Trustee Rebecca Haynes. We'd also like to recognize members of our community. Judy Miracle, President of the Historical Society. Bob MacArthur, former Fire Chief, Chairman of BGYA. And Citizen of the Year. Dennis Hoffman, VFW Post Commander. Rosalind Blair, Brandon Township Clerk. And Lisa Lamont, Brandon Deputy Clerk. Several other thank yous for setting this event up. Tanya over at Paramount Graphics, our technology director, Thomas Janchevsky, Jeff Maliki back there with video services and OTV, and photographer Tom Tolik, and Monica Ginzlak, food service staff, and Heidi with DM Burr Custodial Services. Thank you for setting up this event. And I'd also like to acknowledge our administrative team. We have Dan Stevens, high school principal. Megan Konslowski, assistant principal. Ryan Zavan, Director of Special Education and Preschool. And Jan Meeks, CFO. Finally, we'd like to mention our past honorary members. We'll start off with Ron Coniglario, class of 1980. He is here today. Ron was awarded Distinguished Achievement in Technology and Photography. Dr. Gwen Hamilton Wyatt, class of 1965. She's here. Awarded for Distinguished Achievement in Nursing, Education, and Research. Jamie Mcdermott, class of 1979, was awarded for Distinguished Achievement in Business. Tim Purdy, class of 1989, was awarded for Distinguished Achievement in Civil Services. Clark and Lori Cook, class of 1979, they're here. Awarded for Distinguished Achievement in Business. Leo Flood, class of 1943, awarded for Distinguished Service to our nation. Dr. Cynthia Mcdermott, class of 1976, awarded for Distinguished Achievement in Research and Academia.
Stand up.
Justin Quisenberry, class of 2000, awarded for Distinguished Service to the nation. Ron Sutton recently passed away last December, class of 1948, awarded for Distinguished Civil Service. Matt Lentz, class of 2001, awarded for Distinguished Achievement in Athletics. And here tonight is Joe Slaughter, class of 1965. Where's Joe? There he is, all right. Awarded for Distinguished Achievement in Business. Now is the time to enjoy the evening. We have some great stories as we introduce our 6th class of honorees. We'll begin with our first honoree. John Maxwell is with us through Zoom. And our first guest speaker nominated John Maxwell, class of 1987. It's an honor to introduce Lynn Schenk.
I hope you don't mind, it's a little wet, so I hope I can read it. Hi, my name is Lynn Schenk. I'm a retired math teacher from Brandon Schools. And many, many years ago, I had the honor of having John Maxwell in my class. I recognized him as an extremely talented young man, and during his high school, I have some boards up there with his accomplishments. He was valedictorian in 1987. He also was editor of the yearbook and on the National Honor Society, and got letters in both football and baseball. Then he went on to graduate from Annapolis in the United States Naval Academy in 1991. When he graduated, that was, great. Then he had to go back to school. And he did, and he went to Auburn University, and he graduated with a master's in 2004. Now, I've had many, many students over the years, and all of them, go to college and college bachelors, but so few, and I've never had one, that has given his whole life, 28 years of service to our country, protecting all of us. John recently retired in 2019. And then when he did, by the way, I think it was in 2014 or 13 that he became captain, sir. You can answer.
2013.
Oh, he became captain. Now, when I think of captain, I think of the Army. You know what captain is in the Navy? It's one step below admiral. That's pretty good. When he graduated in 87, and in 13, he's an admiral, almost an admiral as the captain. Well, let's go back to when he retired. When he retired, you know what they did? They made him the Commissioner of Virginia Department of Veterans Services in Richmond, Virginia. He's over 850 people. That's pretty good, I think. As you know, men and women sacrifice so much for the military to protect all of us. But then there's the family. And the family, they sacrifice so much because they know their loved one is away on deployments. And John was on quite a few of them. And we can only think how much they gave up because they would have to move and be wherever, whenever they could be with John. John has a long distinguished career with the Navy, and he continues to serve. And I have, again, some of his accomplishments on those boards with pictures, and especially if you look at his high school and then his nowadays. You gauged, dear sir, you did it. Anyway, in closing, I would like to thank John and his family for the many years of service, and especially the family of giving up so much for him. That I am extremely happy that today we get to honor and induct John Maxwell in the Ed and Diane Donaldson's Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame. And thank you for the honor, and thank you for your service to our country. I am very serious, John. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much, and I'd be remiss if I didn't begin by thanking Dr. Heidrich and Maria Schubring for arranging all of this, and of course, Ms. Shank, thank you so much for nominating me and for putting all this together. It's been a pleasure. I'm actually surprised that you did this because I figured that you might still be a little bit upset over us moving your classroom out into the courtyard. I don't know if you, but I did have something to do instigating that, but you forgave me and I appreciate that. And that's the kind of teacher that Lynn Shank was. She kind of rolled with the flow. She put up with all of us in calculus, and it was just a true pleasure being her student. And you know, there's so many others to thank, but I do want to recognize, of course, the Board of Education there. And fellow veteran, Mr. Hoffman, thanks for taking care of veterans there in the community. That's no small task. We know all the challenges that go along with come along with being a veteran sometimes, and thank you very much for taking care of them. So, you know, I think of the time back at Brandon High School, and I think of the folks who helped me out. You know, besides Lynn Shank, I got to thank Jerry Warner and Larry Warner. Both of them were great influences on me. Roger Brundage, who helped me out through a pretty tough time when I was trying to wrestle and it wasn't going so well. And I think of Coach Art Patty, who was a great coach. He once told me, he once said to me, Maxwell, you've got a big mouth, and I kind of took that to heart at some point in time. Not then and there, but he was a great coach. I just want to emphasize something here today, in that I'm only here because of the people that I have been around. I certainly had great teachers, and the environment at Brandon High School was amazing in helping me to grow and helping me to see more than what I thought I could see. And certainly when you're 17, 18 years old, you don't know what you can do, but certainly everybody saw that in me and pushed me. Certainly my mom and dad, my dad who passed away about 1.5 years ago, and my mom who's still with us. They couldn't be here today, but I would be remiss if I didn't thank them for their love and support. And they pushed me too. You know, my dad, he told me to look into West Point, and I said, Dad, I don't want to go in the Army. And he said, well, then go look at the Naval Academy. And I did that. And so I was able to get in there and have a good time at the Naval Academy. I grew up a lot at the Naval Academy. When I first got there, I couldn't imagine that Led Zeppelin and Boston and AC/DC were not everybody's favorite music bands. And I also learned that there were a lot of people who were a lot more talented to me. And so that was very humbling, but boy, was it a great experience, and the challenges there. But again, we got through all of that because it was all of us working together. And it was nothing to do with individuals. It was all about the team, and that's something that we've carried forward. You know, I left the Naval Academy, went through flight school, and that was a good time. Flying missions was even more fun most of the time. But it was hard, and it was hard because the work was hard, but it was also hard because of the family separation. You know, Sally, I don't know if you can see her or not, I think you can, but she endured with my 2 sons 7 deployments. So 7 times that I got up and left for 5-6 months at a time. And so suddenly, one day she was in a cooperative parenting situation, and the next day she was a single parent, had to take care of a house, and she did that with an amazing amount of grace and perseverance. And if it wasn't for her, there's absolutely no way that the 28 years, that I would have been able to have a 28-year career, because she had to serve, and my sons had to serve in different ways, but they needed to do this, what they had to do too, for me being able to continue serving the nation. The only other things that I think that I want to mention is that there's a lot of our American citizens who are out there today serving our country, and it is truly an honor, and I really consider it a privilege to serve. And there's so many Americans out there who have taken an oath, raised their right hand to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. And they do that willingly, and they do that knowing what the consequences are. And it's amazing to be with them at night in the hardest times and to watch them perform. And I'll tell you, you would be incredibly proud of the men and women who are out there, of our service members and what they do, and seeing the levels of responsibility that we give them. So kudos to all of you, because you're supporting, I know, our students who ultimately many who go into the military, but they're doing great work. And of course, you know, I know one of our honorees is Tim Purdy, a law enforcement, and certainly great kudos to our law enforcement, our first responders, and our healthcare staff, who've endured quite a bit of challenges over the past year and a half. But it's been Brandon High School gave me the foundation for what I was able to do. I'm eternally grateful for that. And again, I thank all of you for all of this. It's a great honor and a great privilege, and I'm just super glad to be an alumni of Brandon High School. So thank you all very much.
Justin Quisenberry walked in. There you are. Okay. Our next guest speaker, nominated Fran Hotchkiss, class of 1979. It's a privilege to introduce to you Robin Laughlin.
Thank you. As he said, I'm Robin Laughlin. I've been in the community for 28 years, and I don't know how much of an introduction Fran Hotchkiss needs in this community, because everybody knows her as Miss Fran. And she has been in this community her entire life. She started volunteering at the library when she was a little girl, and she lived right across the street from what was our library downtown, which is now the village offices. And she used to walk over there and volunteer, and she's worked at the Brandon Library now for over 46 years. She started working part-time there when she was 14. And I met Fran in 1993 when I moved here right before I had a brand new baby. And then I noticed in the paper, this is a big deal, I tell people this all the time, because a lot of libraries and children's librarians don't start their programs until kids are ages 2 to 3. And Fran starts at birth. And that is huge, because as a new mom moved to the area, I had a 3-month-old baby. I'm rather social for anyone who knows me. I was looking for things to do, and I became a stay-at-home mom, and it said lapse it, free of charge, birth to 3 years. So I started taking my son to her programs when he was 3 months old, and we just never stopped. When my children, I have 2 boys, and when they entered 1st and 3rd grade, the new library was built, and Fran offered me a job there, and I worked with her for 18 years. And she is, what you see is what you get. Fran loves people, she loves children. She's been doing story time now for all these years, and 2 and 3 generations of people come to her story times. I see a lot of story time moms right in here. And we know you all from the library, and we know you've all benefited from her programs. And that's what she's most known for. But also there's different teachers and preschools, and Diane Zidane, I know she works with you she has worked with so many of our preschools, reaching out and just made so many innovative programs over the years. And she's reached out and done programs with Sasha Ball Meadows, and she has just continued to be a blessing. She even wrote the Fantastic Guide for Storytimes 101, and she's taught that across the state. She's been on the Michigan Library Association board, and they asked her when she gave a demonstration about it to come to different libraries and teach it. So we've had, in my working with her for so many years, we had a lot of people come and want to glean from Fran, and she's always so willing to share. She loves children, she loves the parents, she loves literacy, and because the librarians back at the old library downtown used to let her volunteer as a child, she was so wonderful. We had so many volunteers at the library, and she's so into helping children volunteer and mentor them. She's written many grants for many programs that maybe we couldn't have at the library. One was 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten, which she started in 2018, and I think you've hit that. So since 2018, we've had 1,000 kids read 1,000 books before kindergarten. So she's done well at that. She's served on many committees. She's on the Brandon Groveland Youth Assistance Committee. She chaired the BGYA recognitions for all 12 years that you were on it. And she has helped Dennis as the Patriots Pen for the VFW. She's one of the judges for the Patriots Pen. And oh my goodness, I wasn't gonna have to look at my notes, but I don't want to miss anything. I'm not gonna read all this, I just don't want to forget anything. Oh, one huge thing that she has done, besides reaching out with the daycares, is like recently with the COVID, she could have just shut down and said, the library's closed, we can't do any programs, and Fran shined during that time. If any of you watch Facebook, she is always posting her story times. They've been shared across the country. I mean, more people have even been reached. She has Zoomed with so many classes, and everybody knows Miss Fran, and that was one friendly face that kids still got to see when everything was shut down, so that was absolutely huge. She loves people. I've always called Fran a people magnet, and she is, one way that I like to describe her is, and I'm sure that I'm missing many things, I want to talk about other awards that she's won. Throughout the state of Michigan, in 2004, she was the Children's Librarian for the Year for the entire state of Michigan. She was also awarded that year for the Village of Ortonville for her service. And in 2016, she received an award from Wayne State University as an alumni. And that's where she got her master's degree. Her bachelor's degree came from U of M Flint. And then in 2021, she received the Rural Librarian Award for the state of Michigan. So I'm so excited that she's winning this award because I think she's very deserving. And before I introduce her, every year I watch It's a Wonderful Life. Probably a lot of you are familiar with that. And you know, the movie is about George Bailey, who's made such an impact in Bedford Falls. And in his case, he wants to leave the city. Fran doesn't want to. But he gets a chance to see what the town would be like if he had never been born. And when I watch that and I think about what this town would be like if we didn't have Miss Fran, I can't imagine, and I'm glad we don't have to, because she's made an impact on so many lives, and we appreciate her so much. And with that, I would like to introduce Miss Fran.
Thank you so much. Boy, I am just so humbled and honored to win this award, to be on the wall with all the great people that have won it. Ron Sutton, who is Mr. Ortonville, I mean, he is like the pillar of the community. And anyway, I'm so grateful. And I feel like the most blessed person in the world. I mean, I was only 5, and I would walk to the library every day and probably bug Mrs. Grobestein, but she was so kind and good to me. She let me put 10 picture books away a day and dust the shelves. And anyway, and then when I was 11, I had the Dewey Decimal System memorized, and Mrs. Pipe, she said, Franny, I'll pay you $1 an hour out of petty cash. Would you like to work at the library? And I'm like, yes! Yes. And so it was, I have always been blessed. I love the Brandon schools. All of my teachers from kindergarten to my senior year just mentored me, encouraged me to be my best. They were always great role models. All the traits I love to see when I work in the schools, and they're still, you know, to be honest and be hardworking and be a leader and be a team member. And all of these children, they really are doing all of those things. So Brandon has the best teachers and educators and school board members and food service people and the janitorial staff. I mean, everyone that I've ever met in this community is just always, I feel like a multi-billionaire with love, seriously, because everyone my whole life has reached out to me and encouraged me. And Bob and Karen MacArthur, they let me live with them for 2 years, and they were amazing. And I can't forget, I want to really thank my dad too. He's in heaven, but he was a school teacher in Brandon High School. Some of you might have had him. And then my grandmother, who taught us all, I'm the middle of 11 children, she taught us all how to read by the time we were 4. And she even substitute taught at H.T. Bird. So wonderful, wonderful teachers. And Mr. Peterson, I do have to mention him. I really wanted to be part of the cross country and track, but I don't know why, because I wasn't a runner, but I wanted to be part of the team. And Mr. Peterson was so kind and said, Brandy, you know, how about you run for fun, but you can be part of the team and be a manager. And so for 2 years, I got to be the manager. And but anyway, that meant a lot. Of course, Mr. Donaldson taught me how to drive. And Mr. Donaldson, I haven't hidden any mailboxes. I might have taken a few faucets off people's houses, but anyway, I was going to write a formal speech, and then I thought, well, I'll just speak from my heart, but my heart's kind of skipping all over. But I just want to say all of the teachers in my 46 and a half years of working at the library, and the principals, all the principals and the teachers and the secretaries. Kathleen Lease, oh, she was the best secretary ever, and I just saw her at Septemberfest, and she gave me the biggest hugs, and she's just amazing. But anyway, so all of the teachers in those 46 years of my career at Brandon Library, they always welcome me to their schools with open arms and invite me in, and they share their children with me. And I tell you, that brings me so much joy to share the love of books and reading and just get the children excited. And I do see a lot of my story hour moms here, so thank you to the parents, grandparents, Bob and Karen MacArthur, their great-grandsons, so 3rd generation. I think I have about at least 12 that I know of, 12 3rd-generation Storytime students that come to my programs. So I am just so blessed beyond belief, and I just love where I am, and I just wouldn't change a thing. Mr. Skog and Mr. Peterson were so kind. I had won a full ride 4-year scholarship to Central Michigan University, and I wanted to be a teacher. But I had other things, other life commitments, and so I couldn't accept that. And sometimes I think, wow, I wonder what my life, what I would have done. But you know what? God knew exactly where I was supposed to be, and I am so thankful to everyone in this community, and I can't imagine being anywhere else, and I just love it. And thank you to all my family and friends for coming tonight, for all your support, and to the whole community. And I just love you all.
Our final speaker, nominated Mary Wilson, class of 1976. It's a pleasure to introduce to you Susan Pitzer.
Carl said, I'm Mary's older sister, Susan Pitzer. Growing up in Ortonville, I think a lot of kids aspired to be, they picked their older siblings as role models. In my case, as time moved on, my sister became a role model of mine. When I was at Brandon High School, there were no girls' sports. And we did play powder puff football and basketball. Our class was winners too, but our mom played girls' sports when it was Ortonville High School, graduating in 1942. Between 1942 and 1970, for whatever reason, girls' sports kind of ceased to exist as far as the competitive teams. Shortly after I graduated, Brandon High School became a member of the Girls Athletic Association. And so Mary, she was able to participate in Brandon High School basketball and softball. She was a very good player, and I was able to keep some stats, thanks to Lynn Shank, let me keep some stats once in a while and live vicariously through Mary. And along the way, Mary was named All-County, and their team became district champs. Mary sets and meets high standards for herself and others, especially in the area of quality education. In Mary's case, her labor of love spans nearly 4 decades of teaching and leading Extension Master Gardeners in their mission to educate others and to share her passion with them. On Mary's watch as both educator and coordinator, 10,000 plus Master Gardeners have taken classes from her, and they've become points of contact for her. MSU's Master Gardener program is a 1-year program, and Mary has achieved a bachelor's, a master's, and her career in horticulture. Through her guidance and leadership, these Extension Master Gardeners have learned how to be proper stewards of the land. And Mary's position has allowed her to travel throughout the world and meet with other gardener groups. And they were able to share their common feeling of joy and serenity and in the recognition of beauty and gardening tasks. I am proud and honored to represent our family here tonight. Our dad and mom, Don and Frances Wills, would be especially proud of Mary and this honor bestowed on her. So I have great respect and admiration for who Mary is and all she has accomplished. I introduce to you now my favorite sister, Mary Wilson.
Thank you. Thank you, Susan, my favorite sister. I also want to thank my brother, Wayne Wills, who's not with us this evening. He's in Florida, and my husband, David, for helping Susan submit the information for the nomination. I also want to thank Ed and Diane Donaldson and their family for the generous support of the Distinguished Alumni Wall of Fame and the selection committee. I'd also like to say congratulations to Franny. I've known Franny probably her whole life. And to John, congratulations. And to all the other recipients, I am truly humbled, and I'm very honored to be joining all of you on the Wall of Fame. Just a little bit about my background. For those of you that don't know me, I'm deeply rooted in this community. My family has a long history here in the Ortonville-Brandon community on my mother's side. Susan said Frances Wills. My ancestry goes back 6 generations to 1837, to when my great-great-great-grandfather, Ashiel Kent, moved from New York to Ortonville. I'm also 4th generation on my father's side of the family, Don Wells, whose mother was a Featherston, if you're familiar with the Featherstons, yes. And so my parents grew up here, and like Susan said, graduated from Ortonville High School, OHS, in 1942. All of myself and my siblings all grew up here and went here since kindergarten. My husband, David, moved here from Detroit in 1968, along with his siblings who are here. And we both graduated from Brandon High School, David in 1975, and me in 1976. When I was in high school, probably like a lot of high school students, I could not wait to get away from here. However, actually, when I went away, it gave me a really good perspective. And so then when David and I got married and lived in another community for a couple years, we decided, let's move back to Ortonville, build a house and raise our family here. And so that's what we did. We had 2 children, Kelly. Kelly graduated from BHS in 2006, and Christopher, our son, who's in Washington, D.C. working right now, graduated in 2010. So having such deep roots in this community, I feel a deeper appreciation for the significance of this award. And I really, again, am humbled and so appreciated of the committee and the Donaldson family for doing this. After graduating from Brandon High School in 1976, I studied horticulture at Michigan State University, where I also work. Not U of M, Cheryl Caddick. Yes, okay. So I got my bachelor's degree in horticulture from there. And then I went on to the University of Wisconsin in Madison for my master's. During my senior year at MSU and also in graduate school, I had the opportunity to be a teaching assistant and discovered that I loved teaching and sharing what I know with others. When I was in college, though, I pondered my next step in life and debated whether to remain in academia and continue with research and teaching. And then I discovered extension, also known as Cooperative Extension Service, if you're familiar with that. But that is the educational outreach arm of the land-grant universities across the nation. In Michigan, Extension takes Michigan State University research, along with research from other land-grant universities, out to the people, and in Michigan, all people in all 83 counties. I learned that a career path with Extension would allow me to be part of a research institution, stay grounded in science, yet be in communities, teaching people how to apply research-based knowledge to improve communities and improve lives. Plus, I could focus on my work in horticulture. People, plants, and a connection to community sounded like the perfect trifecta to me. So after completing my degree at Wisconsin and Madison, I started my career with Michigan State University, where I worked for nearly 4 decades. I say worked because I retired May 1st, but I'm still working there kind of on a consulting basis. So I go back and forth between past and present. But anyway, so during the time I was working for MSU, again, MSU, Michigan State University. I'm not going to let you forget that, Cheryl. Yes, and Gwen, you can help me. I worked as a horticulture educator covering Genesee County. And then my area of responsibility expanded to 13 counties in Southeast Michigan, and then to all 83 counties in the state. All the while, though, I was still able to continue to literally cultivate community and scholarship. Basically, improving communities, working with green industry businesses, and helping individuals simply through applying research-based, environmentally sound horticulture practices. It's amazing what plants can do and what you can do through the medium of plants. Some of you may be a little unfamiliar with what horticulture is, but it is basically the science of cultivated plants. So that includes trees and shrubs or woody ornamental plants, flowers, herbaceous plants, indoor plants, fruits, vegetables. I think you get the picture. And my specialty has been woody ornamental plants, trees and shrubs. And as a horticulture educator, I've also been able to have the opportunity to educate people on all these invasive pests that may attack these ornamental plants. So I've had the opportunity to work on education regarding emerald ash borer, gypsy moth, oak wilt, and I'm certain, unfortunately, there are more on the horizon. I have, as Susan said, I've dedicated much of my career to the MSU Extension Master Gardener program. In fact, it's safe to say that if you're a former or a current Extension Master Gardener in the state of Michigan today, and there are collectively over 30,000 of them, I've had the opportunity to teach you. I've directly taught over 10,000 people in classrooms from Marquette to Monroe, and every one of the collective 30,000 individuals since 1982 has studied the textbooks. That includes the chapters I've had the opportunity to author, co-author, or edit. My students have told me that I'm an amazing educator with infectious enthusiasm. Where did I get that from, Shank? Which is certainly humbling, but in reality, I've been so privileged to have been able to do what I love. So that makes it a lot easier to be an effective educator. During my tenure, I've been recognized for pioneering and developing innovative approaches for educating public and industry professionals in science-based, environmentally responsible horticulture. I've also been recognized for outstanding communications, effective teaching, curricular development, and distinguished academic staff at MSU. I am so humbled by all these honors, along with tonight's recognition. But I fully recognize that I wouldn't be here today without the influence of so many people throughout my life, my family, my teachers, some pretty cool bosses, and some colleagues. I strongly believe that as an individual, is only successful with the help and support of others, and that you need to acknowledge the people who help you achieve your accomplishments. And so I want to talk a little bit about some of those people in my life. First of all, my family. Supportive and loving parents, Don and Frances Wills. My grandmother, Wilda Wills, who instilled the love of plants in me at a very young age. My siblings, Roger, who helped me learn that there is a field of plants that I could study. My brother Wayne, my sister, my favorite sister, Susan. My husband David, my children Kelly and Christopher. They all supported me and encouraged me during my academic and professional pursuits as I followed my passion and my love. I also had the opportunity to work under a world-renowned major professor at University of Wisconsin, who influenced me to follow my career path in extension, and whose network and support helped me open a lot of doors. And then there were several amazing administrators at MSU. Great bosses are sometimes hard to come by, but I was fortunate to have 4 bosses who were also my mentors. They had faith and trust in my intelligence and decision-making abilities, and allowed me to be visionary and take risks to develop innovative educational programs. Again, it makes it a lot easier to be successful when you're encouraged and supported by family, professors, and administrators while seeking your goals. But what I really want to focus on is my teachers here at Brandon. I want to highlight some of the impacts that my teachers have had on the success of my career. Since speaking with Dr. Heidrich and learning about this prestigious recognition, I've spent a lot of time reflecting on my years at Brandon, especially my high school years. As I searched for my senior picture, when I said I needed a senior picture, I thought, oh Lord, where's that going to be found? But it was actually quite fun because I rediscovered memorabilia saved by our mother. She saved everything, including all the stats from Lynn. But she saved basketball and softball newspaper clippings, academic and athletic awards, handmade motivational decorations that ended up in our lockers or our bedrooms at home. Yes, graduation cards, several from teachers here today, and pictures from senior skip day, trips to Toronto to visit the Science Center, and Mrs. Fisher, Connie, I even found my salutatorian speech that I gave during graduation commencements, which you helped me with. And that was back in '76. I have a lot of fond memories of Brandon, mostly due to the outstanding and dedicated teachers and coaches that I had. I had the opportunity to just work with some really outstanding people. While I previously mentioned my influencers that I had in college and throughout my career, My high school teachers, though, helped create and shape the initial foundation for a successful academic and teaching career and helped me develop many life skills, such as working in teams, leadership skills, and values. I specifically want to recognize Connie Fisher. She was our class sponsor, and like I said, one of my teachers that I frequently connect with. Cheryl Caddick was my math teacher, NHS advisor, science trip sponsor, to Toronto. Lynn Shank, my other math teacher, also my basketball coach, and really, Lynn, a second parent to me. So many years. And Larry Warner, chemistry, softball, Toronto also, if I remember correctly. And I think Jerry said he had to leave. Did he leave? Okay, well, you can tell him all this terrible stuff I said about him. Okay, it was softball and also Toronto. But also Paul Bramer, who I'll mention a little bit later, was my biology teacher, and John Mills in English, journalism, creative writing. And also Kathy Soselsky, who sadly passed away in 2019. All were very, very influential. Being in education, I am fully aware of the impacts teachers have on their students. While immersing our brains in a lot of technical content, they have tremendous influence on shaping students' beliefs, values, and life skills. When I was in high school, most of my high school teachers, and you keep smiling and laughing, were new. They were fairly young in the profession. They were really, in retrospect, not that much older than us students. I believe this helped create a stronger teacher-student relationship and the ability for teachers and students to relate to one another. There was mutual respect for one another, and we felt valued as students and individuals. Our teachers believed in us and trusted us. They helped instill confidence in our abilities, both in academics and athletics. They provided opportunities to develop skills in teamwork and leadership. So whether I was on the basketball court, softball field, in journalism, working on the yearbook, or working on a science project, they taught me the importance and value of working together for the good of the group. I learned the importance of effective communications, delegation, commitment, and accountability. And through serving as the yearbook co-editor, newspaper editor, captain on the basketball team and softball teams, and doing an independent study project, I learned the importance of goal setting, active listening, respect, and the importance of making decisions. Not always easy, but it is important. My high school teachers inspired a drive to do well in academics and any extracurricular activity. They inspired us to always try to do our best and live up to our full potential. And I discovered that if school didn't have a class that would keep me inspired and challenged, they would explore the possibility of maybe an independent study. And that's something that Paul Bramer introduced to me. Because personally, I loved biology. I couldn't get enough of it. I even loved the quizzes. Co-students thought I was really crazy, but I did love the quizzes. I loved anything Paul Bramer would share with me during his biology classes. I took all the biology I could, but at that time there were no AP classes so that I could take my senior year. So Paul encouraged me to work with him and develop an independent study project. He knew I had an interest in plants and suggested a project to explore the effects of plant growth regulators on geraniums. I thought, cool, that sounds great. So he guided me as I developed the project and the associated scientific methodology with the variables, the replications, controls, hypothesis, materials, etc. He let me set up grow lights in the back workroom that he shared with you, Gary, fill it half with plants, obtain the chemicals, etc., and worked with me throughout the semester. It gave me such a great sense of accomplishment and really instilled a lot of responsibility in me. I loved this project, so much so that the opportunity to do this independent study solidified my desire to study horticulture in college. Paul was one of the 3 people who influenced me to go into horticulture. So please share that with him next time you talk with him, Larry. Thank you. The other were my brother, Roger, and my grandmother, Wilda. Paul also worked with other seniors on independent study projects as well. And I wanted to mention this one in particular. One of them is also a distinguished alumnus, Cindy Heath Mcdermott, who Paul encouraged to jumpstart her medical career by conducting experiments while using white mice. I'm not going to go into any stories there, but there are some stories in there. John, I'd be really interested to hear more about what the different pranks were that you pulled on Lynn, because we pulled some pretty good ones too, but on other teachers as well, and one had to do with these white lab mice that Cindy had. But anyway, I will continue before I digress too far. Our BHS high school teachers were also very supportive of our successes as well as our struggles and failures. We were always encouraged to learn from our experiences and try again if things didn't work out right, whether it was redoing a science experiment or trying to figure out a math problem. We were always encouraged to do the best we could. For me, as Lynn and Cheryl would attest to, my academic struggle in high school was math. It wasn't my forte. My brain's just not wired that way. So the concepts just didn't come easy for me. But if I was willing to devote extra time, they were willing to work with me. Admittedly, I still struggled though, in comparison to my other classes. But I did a lot better with the extra time they spent with me. They were always gracious, patient, and never made me feel inferior. Regarding math, I don't think I've ever shared this with this teacher before. I don't remember if it was algebra or trig, but I also want to share that it was the only class in which I received a B while in high school, even with the extra tutoring. However, I was doing my best, but a B was what I deserved. It was a kick in the pants to get a B, but I highly respected my teacher, Cheryl Paddock, for her honesty and integrity in giving me what I deserved. It kept me humble and made me work harder, not only during the rest of high school, but also in college. And then I also want to highlight another important value and characteristic of my high school teachers. And that was that they possessed the value and they understood the importance of having fun. We experienced that learning can and should be fun. Whether it was in an academic or athletic setting, fun created a stronger desire for students to want to learn and continue to learn. Examples. Our chemistry and physics teachers understood that students don't learn everything about those topics in a classroom. Consequently, in our junior and senior years, approximately 50 students. Okay, and several teacher chaperones ventured to Toronto to visit the Ontario Science Centre. I understand that's not done anymore. There are reasons, I'm sure. This experience expanded our tacit knowledge, and we gained higher level learning and advanced our problem-solving skills in physics, chemistry, and probably other areas as well. And it was fun. It was a memorable learning opportunity for the students and teachers, and it helped inspire me to ultimately take my own students on numerous domestic and international study trips to obtain broader perspectives and a higher level of learning. All my teachers had, and I hope still have, a sense of humor, which made learning in my high school experience fun. In fact, having fun became one of my tenets in teaching based on my high school experiences, and it made me a more successful and effective educator. Each one of these teachers had a passion for education, and they demonstrated caring and commitment to their students. They were an inspiration to my continued academic pursuits and provided insight to successful teaching styles. They modeled what I thought were qualities of exceptional educators. They were my role models. And the values they demonstrated in high school influenced my success in college and ultimately my career. It has been my passion and joy to be in education, and I've been blessed to help people while doing what I love. It truly has been fun. So in closing, I want to circle back to a specific piece of memorabilia that I came across while looking for my senior picture, and that was the commencement address I gave in 1976, 45 years ago. And no, I'm not going to repeat that. But again, I want to thank Connie for her input. But it was the presentation was based on this quote: "To accomplish great things, we must not only act, but also dream. Not only plan, but also believe." My Brandon teachers provided the foundation that I needed to accomplish great things and be successful, to have those dreams and aspirations, and to take the action to nurture my dreams and aspirations, and to develop a plan and believe in myself. Being recognized as an Ed and Diane Donaldson Distinguished Alumnus is a tremendous honor to me. As an educator, I'm fully aware of the influence educators have on their students. To me, this award reflects my Brandon High School teachers' influence and their dedication to being the best they could be. I share this honor with them. Thank you.
What a fantastic way to finish. Mary, Fran, and John. We're going to head on to the lobby area to unveil your pictures. So we'll take the next few minutes and meet us over there. That'd be great. Thank you.
All right, wonderful. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Maybe. All right. And we'll get some pictures afterwards with everyone. And for Fran, 1, 2, 3. And for Mary. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you, everyone. We'll stick around for some pictures. Appreciate it. What a wonderful evening.